Okay, this is the beginning of your pincushion. So to start off by doing step 1, which is making sure that we've got 3 pieces of 5 by 5 inch fabric cut. So that's what this is right here. And just to show you, it's 5 by 5. Okay. Once you have all of that cut using your sewing shears, you will then cut 2 of the pieces of fabric into 2.5 by 2.5 inch squares. So 2.5 inch squares. The best way to do this is to get the seam gauge set up and laying down on your fabric, then taking your marking pencil and right at the edge of the seam gauge making a mark, then moving it further up the fabric and doing the same thing. Then you can take your seam gauge along this nice straight edge right here. Draw your line. And the line doesn't have to be perfect because you're just going to cut it. Okay? Once you have half of it, you can then go ahead and do the 2.5 going the other direction. So I'm going to start with my seam gauge right along the line that I just created and make a mark with my marking pencil at 2.5 inches. Then move down here to the edge of the fabric and do the same thing. And then connect the lines. I know some of you are probably freaking out because I'm drawing right on top of my fabric, but the great thing about marking pencils is that they come off with water. I will always have this nice bottle of water, spray bottle of water, in the sewing room, and all you have to do is spray it on to your fabric. Then take your finger and rub it in. And then you're going to have to let it dry, because if you try and stick this through the sewing machine, it's going to get all bunched up and it could ruin your sewing machine, and we don't want that. All right? So then you'll just let it dry and go on to the next step. Now that I have my 4 2.5 by 2.5 inch squares cut out, I'm going to start assembling them. This is where you will grab your pins. You won't need any more than 4. You'll take your 2 pieces of fabric and your 4 pieces of fabric and arrange them in the way that you would like your pincushion to lay. So this is how I want mine to be. So I'm going to take these 2 pieces of fabric first, fold them in so they're right on top of each other. Each edge is lined up, just like that. And you'll take one pin and pin along this side over here, and then a second pin, and do the same on this side. It's super important that we pin the right sides together. Right sides are the sides that have the print on it, the part that we want everyone to see when we're finished. If we were to sew them together with the wrong sides facing together, like this, when we would open it up, when we press it open, we would be able to see the seam. But with them sewn this way, it's going to be a nice, clean seam with no edges, no strings hanging out. It'll be nice and clean. And you'll do that for both of these. Then you'll go and sew them 5/8 of an inch in. So it'll be right there. And I'll show you how to do that in a bit. All right, so in my sewing machine, I have some green thread. And what you're probably thinking is, this does not match your fabric at all, Miss Parcell. But, because I like to challenge myself, I'm going to take and use the green and use it as an accent color on my pincushion, all right? So first things first, we gotta turn on our sewing machine, and when the light's on, it's on, all right? You'll take and carefully place your fabric underneath the presser foot, and you'll line it up so that the edge of the fabric is close to where the needle is going to be. Pay close attention to where this side of the fabric is. This is where your seam is going to be. The 5/8 mark is where you want it. Before you start sewing, it's super important to make sure that your needle is not going to hit your pins. Okay? So take your pin out, your first pin, and hold on to the two strings, the bobbin thread and the needle thread. If you don't do this, it could cause the thread to come undone as you're sewing. So we'll start off real slow and do 3 stitches, then hit our reverse stitch button. You'll hold it down and count 1, 2, 3. Let go of the button. Lift up your foot from the foot pedal, and then start going forward again, nice and slow. It's not a race. Then once you get to this next pin, stop. Before you get there, take it out and finish your stitch. Once you get close to the edge, I'm going to go one more stitch, just like it is here. You're going to stop, hit the reverse stitch button, and go back 3. 1, 2, 3, and then forward 1, 2, 3. Stop. Take your presser foot up, pull the string out, and finish it off over here. You will repeat this process for the second set of squares and cut off your extra pieces of string. All right?